My plan is to hide, to avoid, but if I get busted, if I get captured, I'm not going to do a Rambo, I'm going to do a Gandhi. If I get captured, I'm not going to do a Rambo, I'm going to do a Gandhi. If I get captured, I'm not going to do a Rambo, I'm going to do a Gandhi.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Is this Jeremy Baker?
This is me.
Great. Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling me. And as we previously discussed, I have the recorder going, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Jeremy, if you don't mind, for the purposes of the YouTube audience that will be listening to this, I'm going to try to set up a little context of, and I want you to introduce yourself, but just a little bit of context. And if I say anything wrong, you can correct me.
Okay.
Okay, so it's my understanding that there's several incidences in the Schaeffer Cox case. Anybody who studied it knows that it can get quite complicated and involved, but there's one incident in particular known as the Pike's Landing event that occurred on June the 11th of 2010, and I believe that was a Friday. The day after the Pike's Landing event was what's called the Far North Tactical event. That was the Blondie's event where Les Zerbe was attacked by Bill Fulton with a knife to throat. And then I think in February, I forget the exact day, but it was February of 2011, was what's called the Millennial Hotel event, which is where Lonnie Vernon and Gerald J.R. Olson met with Bill Fulton, where Bill Fulton tells them to re-remind Schaeffer where he almost killed Les. And my phone is ringing. Babe, can you please get this? Thank you. Sorry about that, Jeremy. So let's continue. So the bottom line is the Pike's Landing event, which occurred on June the 11th of 2010, Bill Fulton recorded the whole thing, is my understanding. The Department of Justice prosecutors had a recording of that event for over a year, and when Rolleyport, which was the investigator for Schaeffer Cox, pressed the prosecutors to release the recording from Pike's Landing so that the defense could study it and have access to it, the prosecutors immediately told Bill Fulton to destroy it. My understanding is that is a obstruction of justice against Stephen Scrocky for asking Bill Fulton to destroy it. It's a one consent party state to my knowledge, and Bill Fulton did not break any laws by recording that, and so Stephen Scrocky broke the law in my opinion when he asked Bill Fulton to destroy it. But Jeremy, this interview is with you, and the reason you're so important is because you were there. You were there at the Pike's Landing event. I have no idea what you're about to tell us. I just know that somehow, by the grace of God, I got your phone number, and so you are about to share with us what you recall from that event. You knew Schaeffer, I guess, back then, and is there anything you want to say to introduce yourself about your involvement with Schaeffer and what your relationship was to Schaeffer, and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself so we can have some, understanding of who you are, and maybe if you don't mind, confirm that you were there that day at the Pike's Landing event of the so-called recording that the Department of Justice asked to be destroyed.
Absolutely, I was there. To give you a little backup of who I was, I came into the 2008 state convention as a Ron Paul delegate. So was Schaeffer, and what we were doing was we had done our homework, and we're doing a little bit of looking at the platform and changing the platform to reflect a lot of Ron Paul's views, because we understood that Ron Paul wasn't really going to get elected as president, but we wanted to make sure that the platform for the Republican Party of Alaska reflected the views that we believed in. And we had the vote, so we got it all passed, and it was very interesting to watch a lot of this stuff get passed on the state floor. Me and him became more of a friend because we shared views, and we still were liberty-minded, kind of, looking out for the people, and trying to look at unjust laws and get them repealed. That was basically our initiatives. That's what we were doing. In 2010, I went to the state convention, and I had I had a huge group with me. Not really huge. I had 20 people with me, and then it converted. After we started arguing our points, we had 89 people with us. So that was kind of interesting, and we've got everything passed. During that time, while I was in Juneau, I met William Fulton. William Fulton didn't know who I was. It seemed like he knew who I was. He said that somebody knows me and that he was going to help us with the Ron Paul stuff. he came in under Eddie Burke as if he was our friend and stuff. So we were talking to him and everything, and he kept on trying to buy me food every time just to sit down with me and do all this. And then he was always trying to naysay everything that I was about to go do. And I said, well, why don't you watch me? And then you watch it get passed. And then you can tell me what you want to do. And he was like, whatever. So I went in there, and I got everything I wanted passed. And then he looked at me and he said something to me that was weird. He goes, we're not after you. I'm like, who is we? Anyway, that kind of messed with me, and I didn't really think about it till later. But after I got home, I was kind of excited because of everything that had been passed, as you know. So I went up to go see Schaeffer, because Schaeffer called me and said that he doesn't know what the heck's going on, but he's being targeted and he might need my help. And I said, you're being targeted? He said, yeah, legally. You just went through a lot of that stuff through Anchorage, and you won your case. I was wondering if you can give me some insight, and we could study together a little bit, because, you know, okay, whatever. So I went up there and we were hanging out. I think it was the first day that I was up there. And then, no, the second day I was up there. And then William Fulton comes into town. William's at Spike's Landing, and he's calling us to come over there. It's just me and Schaeffer. He wants me and Schaeffer to come over. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So we come to the door, and William's got a Heineken in his hand. He's trying to hand beers to everybody and stuff. We're all sitting there just chilling. And then they started to go over this idea of what they would do in case the worst case scenario happens. And then I laughed at William. I was like, this is retarded. Okay, let me explain. The fact is you're sitting here trying to take on a spiritual battle with physical weapons. That's a waste of your time. You're not going to win. We're going to base all of our things on winning this court case. We're not even going to put an ounce of thought into what you're saying. And he goes, Jeremy, can we just calm down and let the big boys talk? I was like, the big boys? You guys aren't acting like big boys. You're acting like children. And then...
Well, Jeremy, I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you mind telling us two things? One, who else was at the Pike's Landing that you recall? Who else was there besides you and Schaeffer and Bill Fulton?
It was me, and it was Bill Fulton, and it was Schaeffer. That was it.
Wow, okay.
And then Les showed up a little bit later.
Okay. And you said earlier that you thought you were going to be able to tell your story one time before, right? You said that somebody contacted you and wanted to interview prior to me contacting you, which I'm 7 years late, you know. But can you tell us a little bit about the situation where you previously told me that somebody else tried to, was going to contact you, but it didn't happen? Can maybe just give us a little bit?
He called me and said that I'm going to start a witness in Schaeffer's case because I'm the one that exposed that William Fulton was a liar and was just trying to fabricate everything over Schaeffer. And then I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. And it was Les Derby that contacted me. And then Les never contacted me ever again.
Do we know why you were never called as a witness in trial back?
No idea.
Wow, okay. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but I think it's important to understand that you thought you were going to go testify at Schaeffer's case as a star witness to prove that Bill Fulton was a liar, but for some reason that never happened. You don't know why it didn't happen, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't seem like William. See, William always had like this real aggressive, argumentative kind of way about him, and it kind of really hit Schaeffer when he would do that kind of stuff, and I felt angry. But whenever he was trying to do that stuff to me, I would laugh at him. So
yeah,
he really had the same power as he did on me because I would explain to him why he was wrong like 15 different ways, and then he'd get all mad. He's like, "I don't want to talk to you."
Well, let me ask you this, Jeremy, and I don't want to interrupt your going on the record here for what happened at Pike's Landing, because Pike's Landing for me as a researcher into the Schaeffer Cox case has always been a bit of a mystery. But to talk to you, someone that was there, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being bold enough to speak up on the record. But the prosecution seems to put forth the idea, or at least Bill Fulton seems to put forth the idea, that the Pike's Landing event, which if I find the date for that event, I believe it was Friday, June the 11th, 2010, that Schaeffer was coming up with all these violent plans to arrest judges and to convict judges and to kill judges, and that Fulton was the one who was responding to Schaeffer's violent plans. But it sounds from your testimony, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but It sounds like it was the plans coming from Bill Fulton, but can you elaborate on that? On who was talking?
I have to say the person that said that they should do a 2-for-1 was William Fulton. William Fulton said we should do a 2-for-1, and I was like, you guys are retarded. This is completely ridiculous. You shouldn't even be thinking this way. You're not going to do this, and there's no reason for you to even engage in the topic. And then the next day, when they were in a meeting, Schaeffer calls me and says, we didn't have any plans, right? And I said, no, we never had any plans. We told them Plan G was retarded. We would never even give it an ounce of a thought. And then he was like, exactly. He got into this meeting and he started telling everybody there was a plan. And then it started acting like there was a plan. And then was acting all hostile towards West. And I was like, wow, what the heck? And he goes, yeah, you can put it. And then the whole knife incident happened. And I was like, wow. So he just basically made up that whole fiasco and made up a huge lie. And we never said any of that.
Wow.
The person that said 2-for-1 was Mr. William Fulton. And honestly, he was the only one that was agitating anything. He kept on advocating attacking with militia. And I kept on telling Schaeffer, you're an idiot if you keep on trying to, lean with the guns, because look at all that military over there, bud. You think you can stand up against them? I don't think so. So let's not engage in stupidity, and let's focus on winning your case with rational and merit arguments.
So just to be clear, Jeremy, you were at both Pike's Landing, and you were also in the room when Bill Fulton pulled the knife on Les Derby. You were at the block.
No, I was not. I got to hear about it.
Oh,
okay. With Mr. Bill Fulton on his second Pike time to record. And once again, he brought up another argument, and he was saying, hey, we really got to do this. I got Neil Olson online down in the north, down in Kenai, and I'm sitting there looking at him, I'm like, hey guys, you guys really have no faith in your understanding of the law whatsoever. This is a First Amendment violation. You don't understand. The police officer assaulted Schaeffer Cox and then took his gun off of him. And he had no probable cause. There's no reason to sit here and treat it like we can't argue and win the case. This is nonsense, and we need to keep this good. And then they just kept on, William just kept on trying to feed the crap. And I was just like, dude, we're not even engaging in that, bro. So I just kept on laughing it off, acting like he's an idiot, and said, yeah, whatever, we're good. And then we left. After that, they're trying to say that Schaeffer came up with this plan, and the reality of it was Mr. Fulton. Fulton made up the whole plan and then fabricated everything. Now, that makes a lot of sense why they didn't have me there.
Yeah, this is powerful, powerful eyewitness testimony from you, Jeremy, and you were there. Absolutely incredible, the testimony that we're recording right now, and I pray to God that millions of people listen to this that are interested in the Schaeffer Cox case, because Bill Fulton is putting forward the idea that it was Schaeffer that came up with the 2-for-1. You're saying it was Bill Fulton, and you were there and you heard him. And you
so why would they destroy their evidence?
Right. And on that incident right there, all by itself, Scrocky should be disbarred and Schaeffer should be let out of prison. That audio recording that Fulton had for over a year, that the prosecution had that audio recording of you and Bill Fulton and Schaeffer for over a year, and when investigator Rolleyport asked to get a copy of it, Scrocky immediately told Fulton to destroy it. That is obstruction of justice, and Scrocky should lose his job on that alone.
But it seems like it would be Brady material and very important information, considering that he asked him directly for it. And it also shows that Schaeffer's completely innocent.
Yes. Incredible, incredible testimony that we're hearing from you, Jeremy. Let me ask you this, brother, and do you feel, given that everything that's happened to Schaeffer, and we know there's some very high-level people in government, do you feel concerned for your safety that you're allowing me to record this and you know that I'm going to put it up on YouTube? Do you feel concerned that there's going to be any backlash to you personally?
Well, I don't know. I think the truth needs to come out, and I was willing to testify a long time ago, and all I can say is God's always the one that gets the last laugh, and I got to be scared of the one that could destroy my soul in hell, and not the one that could destroy my flesh only. So the thing is I do it to bless God. I'm not going to do it to do anything else, and I got to stand in truth. So,
amen.
You protect me for that.
Amen. I got goosebumps, Jeremy. It's so encouraging to hear a fellow Christian to talk about we need to please God rather than to please men. And This testimony from someone that was there, Jeremy. Now, I'm gonna put this up on YouTube. There may be additional questions that come out, or maybe, I don't know, at some point maybe somebody will ask you to sign a sworn affidavit. But this is very powerful stuff, and this totally ruins the narrative that it was Schaeffer that come up with the 241 plan, and it was Schaeffer coming up with the ideas to go and arrest and kill judges. It was all being provoked by Bill Fulton. He lied, and then the next day he comes up with this knife to throat with Les Zerbe. And the only reason he didn't go after Schaeffer, was because Schaeffer was holding his very young son in his arms at the time, and so he went after his first in command, Les Zerbe. But Jeremy, is there anything else you want to say, brother? And I got to tell you, I am so grateful. I don't know how your phone number wound up in my possession this morning, but your bold and willingness to come on the record and say this, and just to expose all this for what it is, it's perfect timing because we have an appeal coming up. But let me shut up. Is there anything else you want to add, or things that you think we need to know, the audience needs to know regarding Schaeffer's case? Because a lot of us want Schaeffer to get out of that hellhole, and your testimony today just confirms everything that we thought already, but hearing it from you is incredibly powerful.
I don't really have anything else to add. If you have any other questions, I could probably answer those. But as it is right now, I believe we covered what we needed to say.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremy. Let me ask you one last question. If at some point it gets to the point where we need you to sign a sworn affidavit, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but would that be something you'd be willing to do?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. God bless you, Jeremy. You've got my phone number, and I've got yours, and this is going out today on my YouTube channel. We're going to ask Angela to put it up on his website. And praise God for you, brother. If there's anything you need from us, we know that there's people that don't like Schaeffer, but like you said before, we got to trust in the Lord, and the Lord will protect us, and we got to fear God rather than men. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
God bless.
Okay, God bless. Bye-bye. That was powerful stuff. We're going to get this on YouTube, spread this far and wide. Just spread it far and wide, and to God be the glory.